Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, a hearty good morning to you on a weekend full of surprises and incredible interviews. Tom Brady actually giving us a little peek behind the curtain. We're going to get into that really, really quickly. FSU rolls in week 0. I was up at that game. We'll tell you all about that. Of course, the Rays lose 2 or 3 to the Red Sox, but more importantly, sign Tyler Glasnow to, I think, what is we could call a historic deal. And maybe, just maybe, the Rays are finally moving into big boy status in terms of competing with their money as well as their smarts. So welcome into the JP Peterson Show. We got a great show for you here coming up today. JC Allen's going to join us from the Pewter Report to talk about Tom Brady. Obviously, we'll get into the game on Saturday night at Indianapolis. I think we learned a little something about this team. Injury situation, very, very concerning as well. As Robert Hainsey left the game, doesn't look to be serious, but Nick Leverett's injury certainly does look serious, and that's more depth concerns. And, I've said this for a long time, whether it be J.C. Tretter or somebody else, the Bucs needed to bring in an experienced interior offensive lineman. They chose not to do it, and it may come back to bite them in the ass because I don't know. Tretter's retired now, although I've heard of people coming out of retirement. I'm not sure if that happens, but it does. And his tape may not be the greatest ever, but it's certainly better than free agent off the street. I can tell you that. I'll welcome in Nick Geddes this morning from Outsider.com. How are you this morning? How was your weekend?
Full of work. Not really a fun weekend, but you know what, though? The beauty of being in this line of work is you watch sports for a living.
There you go.
And this is why today's an exciting show, because we had the final Bucs preseason game with starters.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady actually spoke. I thought my eyes and ears were deceiving me.
Wow.
He spoke.
Yeah.
We had Florida State football, which you're excited to talk about today, and I'm as well. Oh, and the Rays were also playing in the middle of a playoff chase and signed Tyler Glasnow, like you said. This is a show to get excited about.
Yeah, and one of the things we love to do on the show is, we have some – we have the ability to maybe be a little bit more outside the box. We're not corporate media. We can say whatever the hell we want, really. But more than that, I think we're allowed to be a little bit more speculative, if you like, because we like this to just be a couple of guys, sitting here talking sports at the bar. I've been in this business for over 30 years now, so I've developed a pretty good contact list to talk to people when things like this with Brady go down, and you get sources and people that know folks that know things, there's certain things that you can say that and there's other things that you cannot say. So we're going to get into this Brady stuff right now, because this is obviously the biggest story in sports, and I've been consuming a lot of media this morning and over the weekend since Brady talked, and getting a feel for what other people I know that are in the know are saying. And it's almost comical that nobody wants to say what it is when everybody knows what it is. We kind of hinted at it last week. Got more information this weekend, listening to him again, a lot of people in the know. And, there's a lot of euphemisms that are going around. It's, this is personal for Tom. If he wants to talk about it, we'll let him talk about it. But folks, he's just like everybody else. He's dealing with marriage stuff. This is as obvious to everyone, and nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to say the words. Do I know that for sure? 100%? No, we don't know that. Do all the signs point to this, that these are family issues? Absolutely 100%. And I'm not breaking any news here. Most everybody knows what's going on. They don't want to say it verbatim. I heard, I was listening to Dan Patrick this morning, and Dan Patrick, I did an interview with Dan Patrick, and I've known him for a while. We're not best buddies, but I've known him for a while. We did an interview at the Super Bowl many years ago that I'm very proud of, because we really got into some very personal stuff in his life. So much the fact he's like, I feel like I'm talking to my therapist here. And it was all about work-life balance. It was all about work-life balance. And there was a time when he just relayed this morning when he said he knows what's happening with Tom Brady, and then relayed this story in his life about how he was at SportsCenter, and he was as big as anybody in the game of sports in terms of celebrity. Dan Patrick, the Oberman, the Big Show, everybody. It was as big as it gets. And he thought ESPN was his life. That was basically became his identity. And he lost focus on his family, his wife, his kids, and everybody else. And there was a moment where he just was, came home from work one time. He was sitting on the porch with his dog, and everybody was gone because he hadn't really paid attention to what he needed to pay attention to. And he relayed that story this morning in the wake of what he says he was told about Tom Brady. Tom Brady has talked about this many, many times in all of the media that he's done. Tom versus Time. He's talked on his podcast about this work-life balance, and it's to the point now where he had to take 11 days off from training camp to deal with the stuff that he's going through. And we're all here to support him and his family. We're all here to support him and his family. Except when you go through something like this, and I've been through it, it's ugly, it's horrible, it's emotional. You don't know what the future holds, and it can make you not as confident as you once were. Not only just in that part of your life, your family part of your life, but everything you do. It takes everything. You can't work, you can't sleep. You have no idea what the future holds, and that goes for Tom Brady as well. So let's listen in to Tom Brady. And I'm going to say this as well. I didn't think Tom Brady was going to speak. I didn't think he would speak until he had to. And I think one of the reasons he went to the microphone, because again, I've been through this, is you need to talk about it. It's a catharsis. You need to get it out there. And even though you don't want to talk about the details of it, just there's something subconsciously that you want to be out there and almost subconsciously trying to get some support for everything that's going on around you. Tom Brady did not have to speak the other night. He did not have to say what he said. There's a reason he did it. And I'm not saying it's calculated by his PR team, not at all. In fact, I think this was the most real that I've heard Tom Brady since he got here. This was not something that was scripted by his PR department. This is something that came from the heart. And from his nonverbal communication, which is something I've studied very much in my life and actually taught courses in college, that nonverbal told me one thing. This is a guy that is struggling with confidence in every part of his life. It's not the hot shot quarterback that was just named the number one player in the NFL by all his peers. This is a guy that, and I'm telling you, when you go through this stuff, it affects every part of you. Your swag is no longer there. And from a football standpoint, this is what I'm concerned about. And football really takes a backseat to all this stuff that goes on. So I think subconsciously you'll hear it, and you'll hear him bearing his soul like I've not seen him do it. And it's not, and so many levels. And we're going to go through this whole interview, and I think you'll hear what I'm talking about. And again, does this mean that, this Bucs season is a wash? No, obviously not. But I do think in my mind, it could go south really, really fast for a lot of different reasons. And we could also see Tom Brady do something that we've seen him do so many times before. And that's use these type of negative situations. Turmoil was a word that was used last year, right? But that's probably not more Brady involved. But turn this into something that he finds motivation from and plays at an unbelievable level. I think it could go either way, but it's going to be interesting. So let's dig into the interview, and in case you missed it, and listen to more than just what he says, folks.
Real quick before I play, you want the talking about the absence, right?
Yeah, this is the first question on his absence.
Yeah.
It's all personal. Everyone's got different situations they're dealing with. So we all have really unique challenges to our life. And, I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of shit going on. So you just gotta try to figure out life the best you can, and it's a continuous process. So.
Yeah. And that is about as real as it gets for Tom Brady. And I think he's trying to tell everybody that, things aren't square in his personal life. And, I keep going back to what Devin White said that I don't think gets enough play, quite frankly. Devin White really kind of laid it out there. And Devin White is the kind of person who is going to talk to Tom Brady on a very personal level and know exactly what's going on. And he's the one that said that we need to pray for him. And he's dealing with a lot of personal stuff. And his tone was very, very serious. Like, yeah, these are major family issues. These are major issues. So with that in mind and everything else that's been put upon it, this is, and I must say, we talked about this last week, that the information I got from his inner circle was exactly the same stuff that apparently Dan Patrick is hearing, Greeny is hearing on ESPN. I've saw other people on NFL Network that are connected. The story is out there, and nobody wants to say the words, but that's the story that's out there. And people are going to wait for Tom Brady to bring it up. That's why everybody's talking about Brady, because everybody knows what's going on behind the scenes.
And I think the important thing here is that there's nothing to go back on if you're Tom Brady to see how did other people handle this, because and this is, I think, why it's such a shock to the system, is how I would phrase it to people in the media, to fans, to really everybody. This is a guy who, there's never been anybody that's ever played in this league at this age, especially with his talent. And you just said it, named the best player in the entire league by his peers yesterday at
age
45 years
Unbelievable.
old, with everything going on, like he mentioned the other night. There's nothing else to even compare it to. So if you're Tom Brady, you're almost on an island at this point, because there's nobody you can ask, hey, how did you deal with this? We've talked about it. His kids are older than every other. I mean, you look at like Rashad White, for example. How old is his kid? Like a year?
Yeah, a year or two.
I think a year or two.
Yeah.
And they're playing on the same team, and Tom Brady's kids are probably prepping for college soon.
Yeah, well, high school. Yeah, I think his oldest just went his first year.
Just started high school. There you go. Yeah. So it's a completely different thing for Tom Brady. And I thought the fact that he went up there on the podium, which nobody was expecting, like I said, I could not believe it. I mean, I kind of jumped in halfway through because someone texted me, "Hey, Brady's speaking." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
during a preseason, I couldn't believe
shocked.
it. But him being up there, I'm glad he did it, because I'm sure too in his mind, he doesn't want this to linger into the season. He doesn't want these questions coming the Wednesday of the Dallas game. I think that also was important to him to address it now, because he knows everybody's talking about it. He's not oblivious to it. He turns on the TV like everybody else and sees his name everywhere and everybody talking about his personal life. So he didn't give everything away, and he doesn't have to. He said his thing, and I think that was more real of a Brady than you usually get. Mm-hmm. So I admire him from doing that. It felt like it humanized him a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, I encourage everybody, if you haven't seen the interview, just to watch the nonverbals.
You got to watch it. You got to watch it.
You got to watch the nonverbals.
I wish we could play the video for you here, but you can go back and find it. But that's why, we're kind of breaking it down piece by piece. And the other thing I thought about is because people look at Tom Brady and Giselle and the family, and it's like, you got all the money in the world. You both gorgeous people. You got every advantage in the world, and we somehow think that they don't have feelings or the same issues that the rest of us married couples, when I was married, have. They do. Of course they do. They want to spend time. They want more time with each other. They want more attention. They want to be first. And Tom has been the first person to tell you, these are his words, that football is his life during the football season and much of the off season as well. And, Giselle is obviously a woman who has options. It's great to be with the most, the All-American quarterback and everything. But it's very clear and been very public about Tom even mentioned himself about Giselle saying, what else do you have to prove? And that was 2 years ago.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
2 years
here's
ago.
The thing, too, that's important because of the way Brady's wired. I'm sure there's a way he could do this and not use the same routines he's used for 20 years. I'm sure there's a way he could
I think that's what he's struggling with right now.
Corners here and there and do that. But I think to him, it's not worth it at that point.
Right.
If he can't do his full routine. If he can't, I think somebody said yesterday, I forgot who it was, on the NFL Network thing, said that he comes in the morning early in the morning, 5:15, and he's watching film right away. If he can't do that like he's done for 20 years, I just don't think it's worth it to him. And I think that's exactly, you think about it. If he gets there at he gets there probably even earlier than 5:15, I'd imagine.
Right.
Workouts and all that. And then how long do you think he's at the facility?
Until 7 at night, or
Not
maybe
to
later.
mention all of his businesses that he's got going on. It's not just football with him. I mean, you think about it. How many hours does he have really where he just sits and goes, all right, it's over for the day?
Yeah, like the day, his birthday, I think it was. And I saw on my feed a bunch of people that work for Fanatics. They all took pictures of the Zoom that Brady was doing the day of his birthday. I think it was the day, or maybe it was the next day. I mean, these are not things we've seen him do during football season in years past. This is a whole new template for him, and he's dealing with a lot of shit. And it's not just business stuff; it's everything. And so, his winning edge and his winning template has always been his over preparedness. He prepares harder than anybody. And that's all because he knows he has to win pre-snap in order to win games. He's not going to be running around in the pocket creating stuff. He's got to be able to know where the ball is going right away. He's got to avoid being hit. He's got to get the ball out in 2.5 seconds. And the only way to do that is to look at every game that at this team his opponent has played, not only this year but last year, or where the coach came from. Look at every one of his schemes. Give me the third down packages from his last 4 years. This dude is maniacal about his preparation, and that has always been his winning edge. And I think he's also coming to grips with the fact that he may not be able to do that, and with that comes a loss of confidence. If you change the way you've always been doing things, thinking that, I have enough experience, and he probably can for the most part. I've got enough experience. Maybe I don't have to spend 15 extra hours this week on tape. Maybe I don't have to do this. But when you don't do it, when you're out of your norm, and that's not the way you've always done it, there's going to be in the back of your mind a little loss of confidence. Am I going to be okay? Because this is not the way I've done it before. We've said this. Taking the time off, helped his shoulder. You saw how well he threw the ball the other day. His arm is as good as it's ever been. Physically, he's as good as he's ever been, and because it's all about his arm and his shoulder. And they're going to do a good job of keeping him fresh this year. They've already done a great job of it. That's not the issue. It's the preparation time, and then it's the confidence and all these other things. Does he look well to you? Does that look like a guy that's been sleeping? I went back and looked at an interview we did last year with him preseason, and then 2 years ago as well. And you want to take a look at not only the face, but the demeanor of the man. He was confident. He was happy. He was smiling. He was engaging with the reporters. It is night and freaking day. I mean, it is completely different. His intonation, his rate of speaking, it just says one thing. I'm not confident, and I'm just a little bit confused on where my life is right now.
There was the running.
That's my opinion.
There was the running joke that he had a Botox here, which it clearly looks a little. I don't know. It looks like he's been in the sun. It looks like he's been in the sun a little bit.
Looks gaunt to me.
The hair definitely looks like it's got an extra coat of paint on there. That hair. I'm not even gonna lie to you now.
Whatever.
We don't know what he was doing. We don't even know.
I'm looking at his mannerisms and his emotions.
I'm looking at his appearance.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe and you go back to the last press conference he did, which he was pretty
pissed.
Yeah, I guess you could.
He wasn't happy there either.
I was going to say tight, a little tight in that one.
Yeah.
You say pissed, same thing, whatever. But it kind of, if you go to the timeline, I mean, that was right before he goes on this little absence. I mean, and clearly maybe stuff had hit the fan right before, leading up to that. Who knows? I mean, we really don't know.
No, we don't know the specifics of it, but clearly he's dealing with some very heavy things away.
Yeah,
this is not, Johnny didn't do his homework.
But I tell you what, though, every time they had, and I know
a little argument here or there,
Yeah, but I tell you what, though, and I know you couldn't. I don't know if you really watched much of the game because you were at the FSU.
I watched the whole replay.
Well, of course you did. There you
go.
Yeah. But they showed Brady a lot on the TV.
Yeah,
and I tell you what, I mean, when he's out there, he looked like he was having a good time, like he was in his element. I mean, you saw him.
That's his refuge.
He was talking to Julio Jones, I think, the entire game talking to Julio Jones, which to me was great to see. And when he was out there, I know it's preseason, but it was the same Tom Brady usually get in a game. There was nothing off. There was nothing different. He looked fantastic. So I think taking the personal stuff out of it. And I don't want to, it's not like I'm trying to diminish that or anything, because I think in recent years in sports, we've come to realize these guys aren't robots.
Right.
And they all have
If
lives.
anybody can separate it and compartmentalize
it's going to be
Tom
this
Brady.
guy. And I
Absolutely,
think
100%.
I think that's my point, is that
that's why I said, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if this thing went totally south. I think, many people have asked me, do I think that he's regretting his decision, and is there a possibility that he just might shut it down? And I say, I think he's regretting his decision. That's my personal opinion, just my personal opinion. I think from a family standpoint right now, I think that he's probably wishing that he did not unretire. And we're going to hear him talk about, his loyalty to the Buccaneers here in a second. I want to play that cut next if you have it. Mm-hmm. Look, all these reports that came out, these are not favorable reports. I mean, when you look at the Dolphins situation, these were not a couple of phone calls to his agent. You don't lose a first round and a third round pick with a couple of calls to the agent. And Brady was involved in the calls. That is in the transcript. That is not a good look. It's not a good look. When you're Mr. No distractions, you guys better not be playing video games at night. You better be studying. And then it comes out that he's on the phone to his buddy Stephen Ross and the other guy who's on his board, and they're scheming to get out of their last year of their contract with Tampa Bay and move down there, probably because Giselle wants to get to Miami, right? Another probably demand in that way. We know she wants to live that. They want to live down there. They're building a house down there. At least they were. So it's like, that's not a good look. It's not a good look. I mean, I don't care what you say. When the teammates and the Bucs brass, find out about all that, are you like, hey, Tom? Oh, no biggie. No biggie. Saw you had an affair with Stephen Ross for a few weeks, but hey, it's all good. No. And then you look at the Raiders stuff, and even though that wasn't tampering, it was during free agency period. There's nothing, but you're like, what? Really? You're looking at houses, and Gronk verified that.
Oh, what's wrong with that though?
Because
at the
nothing
time,
really.
I mean,
there's nothing wrong with the Raiders.
That was over 2 years ago. We were in a different world, a completely different world.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, there's a lot of not allegations. There's a lot of things that are coming out that aren't necessarily favorable.
There's more coming out on him than usual.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't paint him. I mean, if you're out there selling underwear and selling, selling your workout and selling everything, you're selling everything Brady. You're doing all these production companies, the Man in the Arena, all these things. I mean, you in order for those things to work, you have to have a sterling reputation as a man of character, as all these things. And I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying there's a lot of shit going on.
And I wonder too. I mean, there's
a lot, and he has to guard against that stuff.
And I wonder too. And I don't think anybody's really talked about. We haven't really talked about this because, I mean, it's just there's so much going on in the season. He's not here, and it's Rob Gronkowski. I wonder,
I heard Tannenbaum say again this morning he thinks, no question, Gronk's still coming back.
Well, I mean, that's kind of gone quiet now, again, as the season's here and we have the roster we have. Who knows if he comes back? But the thing is, it's like we've seen those numbers.
Can he play left guard?
Honestly, at this point, I was honestly going to say, I'm like, can we throw Kokeith out there? Something on the line. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm sure you think Brady's probably thinking, man, I really thought Gronk was coming back this year. Like the fact that I'm playing and he's not. Like, I wonder if he's like surprised by that Gronk literally told him no.
Think about all the things that are different in his world.
That's what I'm saying. That's so much different.
And that's a big thing.
He's only played in the last 12, 13 years, he played one season without Gronk. One season. And everybody thought the world was ending that year.
Think about this, and he's going through what he's going through. Is there anybody closer in terms of teammate than Gronk? No. I mean, these are not just guys that are perfectly in sync on the field. It's off the field as well. And boy, would it be a boon for the Buccaneers, not only on the field, but for Tom to have a confidant like that he knows so much and can tell everything, it can be there for him during times when you've got family turmoil. Yes, huge.
Yeah, and it's somebody who knows him better than anybody on a football field.
And maybe, and I think if Tom asked him now, considering all the stuff that's going on, hey man, And maybe Gronk is just done and he's moved on physically and all that other stuff. It's not like he's Ali Marpet and he's down to 220 now.
No, he's still. I mean,
he still looks in football shape to me.
He still looks pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it would help him. All right, let's get back to more Brady. Is this the?
Yeah, this was him kind of addressing the Raiders report and what went into that decision to come to Tampa Bay.
Well, since I came to this organization, it's been an amazing. It's just been an amazing experience for me to come to this place and be as supportive as I had over a long period of time. And, I read all these stories about all these different places I was supposed to go or could have gone. And I'm like, I only was going to go to, one place, which was here, and I think this whole organization knows that. And all the conversations that we've had over a period of time, I chose the right place for me. And very proud of the effort that everyone's put in to make the relationship work. And Joel's been amazing. Jason's a great friend of mine. Bruce, Todd, all the coaches. It's been an amazing relationship. I'm very grateful to everybody for allowing me to come down here and experience this part of my football life, which, I look back and would probably be incomplete had I not had it. So I'm happy I've had it.
I got to tell you, when I first heard that, I was like, that's not true. This was the only place you were thinking about? Well, what was the whole Miami thing? You were taking calls, but you weren't interested? I don't want to beat him up. I don't want to beat him up, but that and the Raiders thing that Gronk verified during the Dana White story and said that's exactly the way it would. Why would Gronk confirm the story right there in the way he did if that wasn't true?
Well, I mean, a couple.
His best friend. Why would his best friend sell him out on national or UFC television, unless that was true? That what he just said.
I mean, I'll put it like this. I mean, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna tell the complete truth on that question?
No.
But
to volunteer that you never thought about any other place and all this other stuff is all these reports. There's nothing to them.
I still think, though.
Well, tell that to Stephen Ross. He just lost the first and third round pick.
I still think, though, the fact that we got the answer and he gave a nice, very long answer. To me, given everything that's happened this offseason, everybody questioning if he wants to be here, if he wanted to go somewhere else, I think it was needed just to have the answer that we can fall back on.
Does it make you feel better?
It makes me feel a little better. Yes,
warm and fuzzy.
The Bucs were able to put it out here. Look at this. The Bucs put it on their Twitter. They put a nice little heart in the little caption. To me, it's good enough to satisfy
everybody's
going
to say I'm a dick for pointing it out. But
it's good enough to satisfy the casuals.
I'm just keeping it real, folks.
Well,
I'm glad he's here. But I'm so happy he's here. It's awesome that he's going to play here and everything, and fantastic. But I have to swallow that. Okay,
let's be real
here,
right. Though. Before we knew about the Raiders thing, literally a week ago, if you go back to 2020, if I recall, there were only like a couple teams who were even looking at him.
That was the story.
The Bucs and the Chargers.
That's not true. Again, that's not true. He was going to go to New Orleans. Mike Neighbors has that. And other people have told me that too.
I'm going off
if Sean
Payton
said. Well, if I'll tell you what, Mike Neighbors knows a hell of a lot more about what's going on in New Orleans than Adam Schefter.
Maybe,
I can guarantee you
Brady
that.
has talked about
he
it
wrote
too, though, about nobody really wanting
Drew
him.
Brees and Sean Payton. For God's sake,
has mentioned
he's been covering him for 20 years.
Brady had mentioned it in that documentary about how there wasn't really many suitors out there for him, and he was wondering, like, man, nobody wants me, like. And we have the infamous quote, which we're assuming is about Derek Carr now, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't think there was that many places there for him. I don't know.
Boy, you just swallow it all, don't you?
Huh?
But whatever Tom Brady's going to tell you, you're going to
listen.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I just want to enjoy this final season that he has with Tampa Bay.
I'm not. Listen,
that's all I want to do.
We've said 100 times on this show. We got to get to J.C. Allen here in a second. He's here. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. But when he says something like that, you got to call him on it. If you're keeping it real, we want to do some show where we're just trying to make everybody happy and make no ripples, and we don't want to offend anybody. No,
last point.
That's not what we do here. We keep it real.
Last point before we get to JC about this. Maybe it has to do with something for lots of Bucs fans like myself, who knew what life was like before Tom Brady. It's not usual to have any player get up on the podium and say, man, I love being here. I wanted to come here. We're not used to that. Okay. So when I hear the greatest player in the history of the sport tell me, yeah, I only wanted to come. Yeah, I'm just going to take it and be okay with it. I'm just going to take it and be okay with it because there's nobody else that ever wanted to say that.
Okay.
Frankly.
That's cool. Do we have one more bite from him?
No, that was our Brady here today.
All right. So we're gonna get to some. He also talked about some of the former players and some of the other stuff that we'll get to as well. We got to get to the Glasnow stuff, folks. We're going to do that. We're going to do college football. Tom Block's going to join us at 11:15. FSU sideline reporter. But up next, JC Allen from Pewter Report. We'll talk more about the game and Tom Brady when we come back. This is the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations. You can find them at emerginginv.com. Back in a second.
Let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, one unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. You suspect your spouse of cheating or involved in a divorce where the spouse is hiding money, or an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior, Is there a criminal matter you need help with? Well, if you need information you can count on, use the professionals at Emerging Investigations. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal source to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Many local attorneys, insurance agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call them at 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT. It's a free call, so just call Rachel or Brian, and they'll answer the phone. It's a free call. You'll have a little consultation. They'll tell you how it works. You can tell them your story and what you're looking to find out, and they'll tell you exactly how they'll go about doing it. So it's a very easy call. So if you just have questions, you're just thinking about it, doesn't cost anything. Just tell them you heard it on the JP show and wanted to find out what's involved. 813-291-FACT. 813-291-FACT. All right, let's bring in our good friend JC Allen from the Pewter Report, who joins us here on our StreamYard connection so we could see your handsome face. What's up there, JC? How are you?
Yeah, everything's going well, man. We're just preseason's over, waiting for regular season to kick in, and some big cuts coming down the line here soon. Got to get the roster down to 53.
All right, we'll get to the X's and O's here in just a little bit, but I'd like to get your take on what you saw from Brady, that interview, where you think his headspace is at right now, and should Bucs fans be concerned that this is not going to be the usual Tom Brady with the over-preparedness and everything else because of all the, we can say it, shit going on in his life right now?
No concern. Everyone's got stuff going on, and Brady's always been able to put that in the rear view and focus on the task at hand. I don't think there's going to be anything less than what he demands is perfection out of himself and out of his teammates. I don't see any reason why anything should linger. And watching that first drive, I mean, he looked like Brady. I mean, there was no drop off. There was no hesitation to put the ball in right places for guys to make the catch and move the chains. And I think that's going to continue into the regular season.
What did you see in that first drive from I won't say scheme standpoint because they're not scheming it up, but just from a personnel standpoint? I got to tell you, going back and watching the tape last week, I thought Gedeke and Hainsey were pretty good. I thought they got blown off the ball way too much in this game. Guys were beating them to the punch, getting penetration. I didn't like that part of it at all. I like what Brady did, but I thought Hainsey, Gedeke, everybody in the interior did not have a good night.
Yeah, there's definitely some ups and downs, and I think when you look at the week before, right, I think they both looked really sharp. But Brady was able to kind of sidestep that rush. Grover Stewart was a madman in that game. He was almost unblockable, especially on that second drive. But there's going to be bumps in the roads, growing pains. We haven't seen the offensive line in a game altogether at all in the preseason. So this was still haven't with Trisha Wirfs out. So this is one of those, kind of tests. Let's see what the chemistry is. Let's see what the communication's like. And unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to see it as long as they'd like with, the injuries coming down the line with Hainsey. But definitely have to do a better job of blocking. Hainsey did get, on that running play to Leonard Fournette. He just got pushed right back into Lenny. And it's not something you want to see, but there's you're gonna win some reps, you're gonna lose some reps, and the other reps he did a pretty good job. I'm not in panic mode. I don't think anyone should be in panic mode. And like we saw, Brady's gonna make the offensive line look better than it could be and better than it is, anyways.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this receiving core because I think that's the position I've been keeping my eye on most this offseason because there's so much talent there, right? So I know like the preseason, you can't judge everything off of that. With that being said, Scotty Miller has not helped himself out in this preseason at all. Another drop the other day. I saw a really bad miss block as well, which again, he's never been a great blocker to begin with, but still. Tyler Johnson out there with the first team. Is it kind of safe to assume that Tyler Johnson probably is the fifth guy and Scotty is still probably fighting for that last spot?
I actually think TJ's locked at the fifth spot like 2 games ago. I think what he's shown in practice and what he's done in the games, he's definitely locked up that fifth spot. And I think Darden's got the sixth, quite frankly. The more I looked at it, and I just put out my 53-man roster prediction, my final one yesterday, the more I looked at it, I don't know if the Bucs do keep 7 wide receivers. I think they'll be fine with 6 wide receivers, even if Godwin does miss that first game. Having, extra bodies in other positions, I don't think none of those guys have really stood out on special teams and say, okay, we need to keep them for special teams purposes. And let's face it, none of those guys, Johnson's going to be hard pressed to see snaps. Same thing with Darden, let alone a wide receiver 7. And I think they feel comfortable to be able to get some of those guys back on the practice squad and elevate them as needed. So I think Scotty, as you mentioned, the 2 drops in back-to-back weeks, a whiff block that ended up in a tackle for loss on Keyshawn Vaughn. He's looked good in practice. It just hasn't translated in games. So I think he's probably on the chopping block. I'm sure they're taking and making calls about him, see if they can get something. Don't be like high hopes and, we'll get a 5th rounder in 2023. Mm-hmm. I think in 2023, conditional 7th is the best you're going to get. And they're hoping to sneak some of those undrafted guys on the practice squad, which is why they weren't showcased as much last night either, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think 6 is the number there.
Yeah, I just keep going back to Scotty, when he played with Brady a couple of years ago and even the first part of last year before he got hurt. I've seen him do it in games. Preseason, to me, for a veteran like that, doesn't mean squat, but you may be right. I mean, and
what can you do for me lately? He didn't put on good tape last year. And remember, he was but when he came back, he couldn't even find a role in the offense. They put him as a gunner. He couldn't beat out Brashad Perriman or Cyril Grayson to get snaps on the field. So I mean, that kind of tells you a little bit too. So
maybe he's fallen off that much. But we'll see how that all shakes out. I could think Brady, I could see Brady going in the room saying, that's my guy Scooter, but you may be right. We'll see. And by the way, Tyler Johnson had a few drops as well, and he missed the block on that Brait screen pass on 3rd down the other day. He didn't look great. So I know Tyler's had a better camp, but he certainly didn't distinguish himself last year either.
But he made up for it with the 4th down conversion to keep that first drive alive. A big 3rd down.
That ball. Come on, man. You could have caught that one.
A big 3rd down. And the thing about Brady, and that's something that I hear a lot from fans and stuff like that, and other people. Well, Brady's got the trust in him, and maybe Brady pushes for him. Brady didn't push for him last season when he came back and he was healthy either. So I mean, Scotty really didn't get a big look until all the starters went down and everyone was out in that Rams game, and then he was thrust in the action. But heck, they had Cam Brait playing wide receiver at that point. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I've loved what I've seen from Scotty at practice. Haven't liked what I've seen. You got to make those catches, and you wonder if the competition and all that was kind of in the back of his mind with those drops, because those are catches that he needs to make, and he knows it. And the crazy part is they haven't used him as a gunner at all on special teams throughout the preseason. And he's been at practice every day. You've seen it catching punts. Didn't see him once as a punt returner. So, the special teams is the way you're going to make this roster as a 7th wide receiver. And they haven't even tried him out there or showcased him at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how it comes down. I still think 6 is a key number there, though.
You think Devin Tompkins, they can get him to the practice squad? I don't know if they can. I think he may have shown a little too much in some of the joint practices, which, of course, the rest of the league will see a lot of that. I don't know. I think I don't know if you can get him there.
It's one of those things where if he was like a 6th round pick, like a fringe late 6th or maybe an early 7th, and teams maybe wanted, he was an undrafted free agent. He didn't get a huge signing bonus to come here. And a lot of the time when teams are trying to scoop up these guys, again, he's got to clear through waivers first, because if any team claims him on waivers, he's beholden to their roster for the first 3 weeks. So it's not where they can claim him, try him out for a day, and then cut him. You got to keep him on your roster for 3 weeks. It's part of the rules when you're claiming those guys on waivers. So, I think that as far as, practice squad sneaking back on there, I think he's got a good chance, just because a lot of the times when guys are building their practice squad, they want the guys who are in camp with them,
right.
And
the system.
Right. The system. You don't want, I get there's 2 weeks left before the regular season, but what's his role going to be in your offense? How fast are you going to be able to get him up to speed? Those type of things. Usually they're guys who have been in the league for a couple of years that that they want to put those claims in for.
JC Allen joining us here. I think the kicking job has been decided now, and I've been saying for the whole preseason, I love that long leg of Borgalis, but come on, man, give me that guy that's going to make those 49 and in every single time under pressure. We've seen Suckup do it. I hate to say it, one kick cost him the job this year, but it was the only chance we had to see him under the lights in a big situation, game-winning kick, and it was the worst kick of – you've seen the practice. Worst kick of practice, game, everything. I just hate to say it. I'm sure he may have a future in this league, but it's not going to be this year for the Bucs.
Yeah, I agree, and I've been one of the biggest Borregales stands out there. You know, I've you know like the youth, his leg, everything he brings, but you know the cost faction of it as well, getting a cost controlled kicker in the next 3 years. But I think once Suckup hit that 52-yarder last week, it was over. You know, you missed the game winner, you missed another 52-yarder last night, indoors at that, or Saturday night indoors at that. That's going to cost you the job. And Bull said as much in his press conference yesterday that it's pretty much, you know, Suckup's got the job. He's won the job. But be on the lookout. Jose Borregales has already been a name brought up for potentially the Carolina Panthers. So you might still see him in the division this season. He's going to land on his feet somewhere, I think. Cowboys, Panthers. It's just not going to be with the Bucs. And it's back-to-back years where the Bucs have kept the kicker on their practice squad, and then they've lost him, Greg Joseph to the Vikings, and now Jose Borregales potentially to another team in the NFC or AFC.
And another guy I've been really impressed with so far, and it's been in spurts, is Keyshawn Vaughn. I think he's got more of an opportunity this camp with Giovanni Bernard kind of out. And I always thought he was, you know, the fourth guy in that mix. Because we haven't seen much of Giovanni Bernard, and even last year when he was in there, I don't think he was great by any means, and he's obviously older now. Are we looking at a scenario? I mean, do the Bucs maybe want to keep an extra linebacker like Fadakasi? I mean, there's all these other things going on. Is there a scenario where Giovanni Bernard could almost be a surprise cut at this stage in the game?
I have him as a cut on my final 53. I think that with Giovanni Bernard right now, the biggest thing is health. He's not healthy, you know. He's still banged up and still recovering. So, you know, whether he's back or whether he's not, the fact of the matter is you need to get Ryan Jensen to injured reserve. So Giovanni Bernard's a vested veteran. You approach him, you say, hey, we're going to let you go. Maybe we have plans on bringing you back. Maybe we have plans of bringing you back on the practice squad. He's already made $900,000 guaranteed from the Bucs. So, you know, that 1.2 veteran minimum he's going to make back on the practice squad if he sticks around there. And does he really want to go to another team and get 5, 10 tops, 15 snaps a game as a third running back on the roster? Or does he want to stick around here where he likes it? He's comfortable. He's from Florida. He's got a chance to win a ring. We know if there's injuries, they can elevate players up to 4 times. They can always sign them back to the active roster. With what Keyshawn Vaughn has showed you and Rachaad White in all 3 phases of a running back's, you know, duties, pass protection, receiving, and running the ball, I think they've shown you enough that you can get by with 3 running backs and have that emergency guy in the practice squad that you need to bring up. Giovanni Bernard, for everything that he is, one of the best pass blocking backs, one of the, you know, best receiving backs in NFL, you know, recent history. He's not going to give you anything as a rusher, and he's not going to give you anything on special teams, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So, I mean, those are 3 big knocks on carrying a 4th guy when you can carry, especially right now, you know, maybe a 5th linebacker like Fadakazi or Jannard Avery, who they brought in, or a 5th safety or a 6th cornerback. Or even a 10th offensive lineman. Remember, right now, the Bucs are reeling. They've got Robert Hainsey out with an injury. Looks like it's not serious or major, but still, you know, when is he going to be able to get back on the practice field? Same thing with Nick Leverett, who is apparently dealing with a shoulder injury. When is he going to get back out there? Wirfs has got the oblique injury. You need to be able to field a team and a scout team, you know. So maybe that's John Molchin stepping up as the only guy who's been on the roster that can snap. Maybe that's Fred Johnson sticking around as a guy who can play tackle, or, you know, Brandon Walton. So there's definitely some moves they have to. It's going to be a tricky situation with those 2 injuries to the offensive lineman. It's not cut and dry. You know, before I was like, they could keep 8 linemen and be fine. Now I think you need to keep at least 10 linemen for the short term, at least, to protect against those injuries against Wirfs and Hainsey and Leverett. So Giovanni Bernard is a guy that's probably going to be on the cutting block. I would not be surprised to see him. And again, I would not be surprised to see him brought back once Jensen's on that short-term IR. But yeah, I mean, he's not going to help you as a 4th running back. He's not going to help you on special teams.
JC Allen joining us here from Pewter Report. I heard this morning, I watched Mike Tannenbaum on Get Up say again, he believes Gronk is coming back. And I always thought Gronk would come back after training camp. This would be the time for him to do it. Now with, you know, Brady going through everything he's going through, maybe to have that confidant back on the team would be great. I know he said he's not coming back, but do you think there's a sliver of a chance that we may see Gronk come back in the next couple days?
I think there's more than a sliver of a chance. Not the next few days, though. I'm thinking more after that bye week, December, get yourself back into football shape. I know he's been staying in shape. If you saw that underwear ad, I mean, he's still ripped up. But even
a little too long, JC, but that's okay.
Yeah, it was because Camille was in it.
There you go. Good comeback.
Even Jason Light said on the WFLA broadcast during the game, they asked him, is there a spot for him to come back? And he just smiled it up. He's like, listen, Gronk wants to come back. Gronk can come back. We'll find a way to open up a spot on him. So I think there is, like I said, all leading into this, I think being able to go into the Hall of Fame with Brady together as the best quarterback, best tight end, best, potentially one of the best receiving duos, whether you have Montana and Rice or, Manning and Marvin Harrison above them, whatever. He's still top three. I think that's such a big allure. That's like so cool to be able to do that with one of your best friends and to be able to help a team win another Super Bowl. And we know he does. He's talked about the rigors of a season. He's talked about training camp and all that stuff. So look for probably around after that bye week, early December that's when the Gronk news should really start picking up.
I think it might be before then, but we shall see. Anything else you got for JC over there?
I'll go to the secondary for one final question for you.
We don't talk any defense. We always talk about offensive line.
We always talk about the offense.
We just say, don't worry about the defense. I'll be fine.
No, but I mean,
they looked fine. I mean,
yeah.
Team hits to beat Vea. I mean, that's your dream come true right there. It took 3 blockers to block those guys on any given snap. And we saw what it did for Levante David. He walked through it untouched, just all smug into the backfield and sacked Matt Ryan. It's going to be dangerous. If everyone can stay healthy, it's going to be dangerous front seven for sure.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see that. But speaking on the secondary, obviously a little bit of a change there because Antoine Winfield was playing that nickel position. We had the preliminary depth chart, which means nothing, but Bunting was ahead of Jamel Dean. I know all these guys are going to play anyway, but do we feel at this point Jamel Dean is probably still going to be cornerback too? And then how do you think Winfield has probably adjusted there to that nickel spot so far?
I think Winfield's done great. I mean, he's going to struggle against some speedier guys. I think he's still got good speed and maybe some taller guys. But going up against, once Godwin comes back, going against a guy of bigger stature, a little stockier, with good speed, I think is going to be beneficial for him. But I think Winfield's going to be fine, honestly. And it won't just be Winfield. We've seen throughout the entire, Mike Edwards will play down there. Logan Ryan will play down there. They're going to be very versatile and very multiple with those 3 safeties. D. Delaney's been the only cornerback in camp that's gotten reps in the slot. And you saw him get some reps in the slot as well, mostly because Logan Ryan and Keanu Neal were out with injuries for that game. So, I think as far as the starting cornerback, I asked coach about that yesterday during his press conference, and he's like, we've got a guy in mind. We'll talk about the coaches, but I think Jamel Dean has showed more. I think he showed more last year. Obviously SMB was hurt, but I think he showed a good understanding. He was the best cornerback in the league in press man coverage. And I think that he brings more speed. He brings more aggressiveness. SMB's kind of let him catch it, then make the tackle instead of trying to get in there and make a play. You saw Jamel Dean come up with that near interception, using his speed, using his awareness to make a break on the ball. So I would say Jamel Dean would be the better option. But again, SMB has taken every single rep outside with the first team throughout camp, and he started the game outside. And Jamel Dean played well into the game over a guy like SMB. I mean, their snap counts were very far off as in terms of who played longer in the game. So that kind of tells you a little bit something too. But again, it's going to come down to, really what Coach Bowles thinks is going to be the best thing for his team, the best thing for his scheme, and who he wants there. But I think the better player has shown and has proven to be Jamel Dean throughout not just, camp, but also last season as well. I don't know. I don't know.
I think they're all going to have to play. That, let's just be honest, through attrition. I say the same thing about receivers. We can look at starters all we want. Bottom line is, one game in last year, SMB's, he's out. So everybody's going to play. Everybody's going to be on deck each and every week. And it'll be also matchup things as well. You just want to have depth and options. And I think right now this is the deepest secondary that we've seen. And I think Rondé said last week when he was on here, he still thinks these guys are, he called them young guys. Young guys. We kind of think of them as veterans, but Rondé knows how long it takes to really learn how to play in this league. And, they've all got to take next steps and they've all got to be better. But, as you mentioned from the very beginning, when you got guys up front, and as Rondé said last week, when you get a pass rush, it makes all the defensive backs a hell of a lot better. And I think this pass rush is going to be excellent. So we'll see. Right.
And like Rondé said too, these guys are young guys. I mean, most of these guys were thrown into the fire and had to start as rookies or be in some sort of role. The only time they've ever had a veteran back there that has real experience, Ryan Smith wasn't the guy, but was last year when Richard Sherman came in. Right. So, I mean, these guys have pretty much had to learn through coaching and learn on their own and from studying tape. So, the progression, and you saw some progression from there when Richard Sherman was in their ear to pick their brain. Now they have a guy like Logan Ryan back there too that they've leaned on heavily for advice, who's played inside, outside, and now safety. So, there's still room for growth for all three of those players, including Carlton Davis and of course a rookie. And I'm excited to see that this year. And I think they take a step forward. I think they get their hands on more balls and actually catch them instead of just, pass breakups, which they've been very good at. But turnovers, more interceptions. And as you just mentioned, that front seven putting pressure on them is going to give them ability. And as Carlton said, play more offensively on defense and be more aggressive.
All right, JC, promote all the great stuff you guys got going on at the Pewter Report. I believe you got another podcast today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be live breaking down some of these cuts, anything that happens, touching up on the game, a couple different roster predictions and stuff like that. So, it should be a good week. And then next week, we're full bore, full steam headed into the Dallas preparation. So we'll talk about that a bunch as well.
Cannot wait. Thanks, JC. Appreciate it, my friend. We'll catch up with you next week. Thanks, buddy.
Always. Have a good one.
All right. We're almost to Dallas week. And we're going to talk about Tyler Glasnow. When we come back, we'll take a break. We got some audio from him. This is what I would call a historic move for the Rays. This is something that they have not done before. I mean, they've given out some contracts, but this is a little bit different. Hopefully it signals something much more positive. So I'm going to be positive about the Rays front office here for a second. So you got to stick around for that. It's the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by emerginginv.com. Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier private investigation agency. Back at 3. Stay with us. JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations. Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Gold and Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Gold and Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we come to you live from our new digs here at CP Communications. We thank all our sponsors, including Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo and his team over there are waiting for you to call. They've got some great specials going on right now. I believe it's $100 off their weight loss plan. And we talked about this with Chris on the show last week about the different things that are out there. You know, this chiropractors and a lot of other people promising all this great weight loss and what have you. And usually it's, you know, a 500 calorie meal plan and appetite suppressants that, you know, will definitely lose weight, but it's not a lifetime change, and learning to do the right stuff at the right time and something that's personal to you. And that's what they do at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. They'll get your blood work done. They'll find out what foods work for you, what foods don't, what your exercise should be, what your time commitments are, what you can do and what you can't do. So everything is personalized. It's not a one size fits all strategy. That goes for everything they do at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. So if you've been feeling a little overweight or don't feel like you have the vitality you've had, they do testosterone replacement therapy as well. Go to BAMMC.com. That's BAMMC.com. You can contact them through there, get an appointment. Please tell them that JP sent you. All right. Well, the Rays lost 2 or 3 over the weekend. Itzhak Paredes, he's had a couple of home runs. I think he's leading the team now with 18. So I have all my friends on Twitter that remind me about how I was so upset about the Austin Meadows trade. Don't you ever admit when you're wrong? Look, the kid's doing great. That's fantastic. All I just said is tell me when he gets to 30 home runs and 106 RBIs. No, but it's great to see him play.
Give it time. You gotta
of course. Absolutely.
This was the first year.
Yeah.
Look what he was before the Rays got him.
Yeah. And as we've seen, everybody who has a good first year follows it up with 5 or 6 great years afterwards.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, wait. No, that's not how baseball goes, is it? You know, it just baseball is a game of adjustments. And, you know, this kid looks like he's got some pop in his bat. Looks like he can be a good hitter. He's got more versatility than Meadows had. My whole point with trading him was you better make sure that you replace those RBIs with a proven Major League Baseball hitter, when we did not do that. And we have struggled offensively tremendously this year. You know, you could look at individual trades and things that go down. I look at it as a team. Is the offense better this year than it was last year? Hell no. It ain't even close. So did we replace the guys? Did Josh Lowe do what we thought he was going to do? No. Is Zach Brady's better than we thought? Yes, that's great. Fantastic. I hope the kid has a great career.
He sure is hell in a bag of peanuts,
no,
which I believe was the terminology you used.
I wasn't saying it specifically about him. I was saying specifically when you give up a major league all-star hitter, I would expect to get someone who has proven it more than a couple days at AAA to put into the lineup so you can replace the RBIs. That's what I was saying, or a major league arm.
Well, I'm just going to put this out there. And he is he's about halfway through a sample size of what would be a full 162 game season. And his projected numbers over a full 162 would be 36 home runs and 80 RBIs. So there you go. If he had a full-time role and he was a bit more consistent, maybe his numbers would be close to that. So then that would suffice. But even then, he's giving you 18 home runs in just 81 games and 40 RBIs. I mean,
he's been great. He's been great. That's fantastic.
So what you're asking from him, and he's gone stretches where he hasn't been very consistent. He had the really good hot streak, like June?
Yeah.
He's had the hot streak now.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, you take it.
Absolutely. We love it. But again, if when he becomes an all-star and has a full season and a couple of seasons under his belt where he's being productive, then yeah, we can say it was a good trade. I think we're a long ways away from that right now, but it's great what we've seen so far. The big news is the signing of Tyler Glasnow, which absolutely floored me, to be quite honest. Now, we still have all right, I won't say it. But, no, they might trade him. Who knows?
Oh my, there you go. There you go.
But they signed him to a 2-year, $30 million extension. So he's going to get paid $5.35 million next year. And then we're going to trade him and he's going to make $25 million in 2024. No, we've committed to pay him $25 million in 2024. That is something new for the Rays. Something very, very new. Now, again, I'm not going to go crazy about it because this is an obvious move. Any team in the league would do this. A lot of teams would sign him for a further extension. But we're going to give them credit for doing what they should do and what every other team in baseball would do, and that sign this guy who's an exceptional talent to get 2 years out of him at $30 million, which is basically what they paid Charlie Morton, is exactly what you should do. And I'm glad Glasnow agreed to it. And I'm glad that he's going to be here. And I also think it gives him incentive because he's got this guaranteed money now to pitch this year. And I think that's what a lot of this was about.
I think he's going to pitch this year.
Well, he should now with this kind of money that the Rays have guaranteed him. Absolutely, he should. I was absolutely floored when this was announced on. It was a random Friday afternoon tweet that just out of nowhere. We'll call it a Top Gun bomb. Yeah, a topper bomb, whatever you want to call it. Ooh, I like that.
I like that, a topper bomb that he dropped on us there right before Friday night's game in Fenway. But
because the Rays told him it was coming out, right? Yeah, they did. Okay. They told him it was happening.
All right. Anyway, no, a topper bomb, which I always love those. And we get Glasnow here for $25 million. I mean, it is a historic deal. This is the highest paid Rays player, at least right now, until Wander Franco's deal kicks in. Which again, I'm not going to let you speak on that. You just remain quiet over there about the Wander Franco extension. Allow me to give you the facts here. The Rays have given Wander Franco an 11-year, close to $200 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying Tyler Glasnow $25 million in 2 years. $25 million we're paying a Ray
for a single season.
For a single season, we're paying a Ray.
Well, in essence, it's
but this again
30 over 2.
You know what this tells me too? I have to assume that after the season's over, or maybe in the beginning and during the season, I don't know. I bet we're going to get a similar extension, not the Glasnow one, but maybe not as long as Franco. I like to think we're going to lock up McClanahan here very soon to something.
Yeah.
And given what the Rays gave Franco and they just gave Glasnow, am I out of the realm to say they don't give him $20 million? Because it kind of seems like, look how the Rays have kind of pieced this all together by trading Blake Snell, by trading Austin Meadows, by not walking or keeping Charlie Morton and all the other guys they moved on from. They are hitching their wagon to the future to those three guys. It's clear that they're doing that. And to me, those three guys, probably more raw talent than anybody else in this franchise. And I think they've picked the right 3. At least they think they have.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're riding with here.
And also give a nice little extension to Rasmussen as well to buy out some of his years and cut free agent years as well. Yeah. I mean, to me, this was a lot about getting him to pitch this year because he was a little hesitant, and he rightfully should have been. It's like, look, I'm not going to go out there and pitch this year if I've got no guarantees past arbitration of next year.
Yeah,
hell no, I'm not doing that. And
I believe he just went off to Durham too, by the way, right after this deal.
After he signed the contract, did you notice the timing?
Yeah,
because he wasn't going, and I wouldn't have either. But this gives him some security to know even if he has to have another Tommy John or whatever happens, God forbid. And that's not likely. It could happen, but it's not likely. He can go out and pitch with clarity in his mind that he's got enough money now where he'll never have to work again. Okay, that's it's not nearly the deal that he's going to get when he's 31 years old. If he pitches through this like we know he can pitch at 31, he's going to get $350-400 million.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely he will.
He's not getting $350 million.
Well, not from the Rays. I'm talking about when he hits free agency. Why would he not?
He's giving him $350 million. Hold up now.
Why would he not? If he wins a Cy Young,
if he wins a Cy Young next year, then
is he not capable of doing that?
Maybe, but
he's not capable of winning a Cy Young.
He's got to stay healthy first.
Well, everybody's got to stay healthy to win a Cy Young. This just in. It's just in.
Healthy, and you're like, $350 million 1 year.
That's what
Cy Young. You're $350 million.
That's what Cy Young pitchers get.
No, that's what Max Scherzer gets.
Yeah, well, he's got the talent, and if he pitches the way we know he can pitch and stays healthy, if he pitches to a 1.75 ERA,
I'll put it I'll go echo what Kyle Snyder said this weekend. Win healthy, win together. You can make the argument, and probably a damn good one, by the way, that the best combination in the AL, left-hander, right-hander, is Shane McClanahan and Tyler Glasnow.
Absolutely.
I think you could probably make that argument and win that argument, quite frankly. Yeah. And maybe you can extend that to all of MLB as well, right-hander and left-hander. Who has that better? Oh, and Rasmussen as your 3, by the way.
Yeah.
Again, the Rays are set up perfectly.
And Kluber as your 4.
Yeah, but who knows if he comes back next year. But even then, look up. The Rays are like 10 deep next year for starters.
Well, they need to be because they can put 5 of them on the DL right away.
Yeah,
each and every year.
And by the way, I'll throw Shane real quick. I'll throw Shane Baz's name in there as well, only because, by the way, I believe he's doing a signing today at Coles in Clearwater. So that's why I just wanted to bring him up.
Oh, good.
So you can meet Shane Baz today.
And is he close to coming back? I know he's been throwing. That would be a nice little arm to have. Though. That'd be a nice little arm to have as we go into the playoffs in September as well. So Glasnow gets a deal on the field this weekend. Jeffrey Springs tipping his pitches, and once he got that right, he was on. He's been really, really good as well. They win 12-4 on Saturday. They lost Rich Hill
yesterday, Sunday.
Rich Hill did him in on Saturday.
Yeah, Rich Hill dominated.
How about that?
The game was going so quick. I kind of had it on.
That's Rich Hill.
I was like working and I had it on and I looked up and I'm like, it's the 7th inning. And I looked at my clock. It had only been an hour and a half.
Yeah. He gets it going on.
Yeah.
I like that. So the offense was an issue there, but for the most part,
they made
over
up
the
for
weekend
it yesterday.
Yeah. And on Friday, they scored?
They scored 8 runs.
Yeah.
The pitching kind of let them down a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it is.
Every game matters now. And with Boston, they were leaking oil coming into that series. We should have taken 2 or 3.
Well, I'm
disappointed.
Here's the good news. Toronto just dropped 3 in a row.
Yeah.
To the Angels.
Yeah. To the Angels.
Who we just swept. We just swept 4 games. I mean, the Rays didn't really lose any ground. In fact, they might have gained a game because of the fact they won 1 and Toronto lost 3.
And they're with their 7.5 back of the Yankees now.
Yeah.
They have 6 games
Miami
left with them.
Yeah, and they got Miami coming in here.
I have 2 days off this week, which is nice. A day off, Miami day off.
I'm trying to see if I'm correct here. I think they avoid having to face Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, because he just pitched a complete game yesterday, I believe it was.
Yeah, Miami actually hasn't even announced their starters, and we have McClanahan and Rasmussen. So we're set up well for this little Miami spurt.
Nice.
And we're going to avoid Sandy, who complete game the Dodgers.
Yeah,
so thank God we're not
dominant.
seeing that guy.
Yeah.
But then after this, we get the Yankees for a big set. So again, we have time here to make up some ground.
I didn't check this out, but I saw a tweet. Somebody said the cheapest ticket for the Yankees game is $71.
Again, I know that. Listen, I was tagged in this thing. I'm sure you were too.
I haven't checked it out, but
I don't know. But again, what's the big deal? This is listen.
What's the big deal? The cheapest ticket is $71 for a baseball game?
We're going to September. We're in an AL East run, and the Yankees are coming.
I'm not saying
That's what you're paying
I'm not
to go
saying
to a Yankee game.
ticket behind the dugout. The cheapest ticket for a baseball game, a regular season baseball game, is $71.
I have no problem with that, with the context that I just said.
You're out of your mind. You are out of your mind.
You're in an AL East race.
It's a regular season game.
Against the Yankees.
There's 162 of them. $71.
Okay, and I can make an argument. These are the three most important.
Oh, good. So good. The Yankee fans will show up in droves, and there'll be no Rays fans. We'll price out our fans again.
Well, maybe you just don't care about the team. If you don't want to come see the Rays.
Oh, no, that's right. Because I want to spend my entire mortgage payment.
If you don't want to see the Rays play the Yankees
on a regular season baseball game. Come on, man. Come on.
No,
$71.
We will disagree on that one.
Okay, well, I'll see you at the game.
I'm off Thursday. I'm off Saturday.
And you're going to pay $71 for an outfield ticket.
I'll go to a game.
Man, you're rich.
It's going to be a great atmosphere this weekend.
You must be rich.
Am I?
Wow.
You signed my check, so I don't know. You know. You signed part of my check, so I'll put it that way.
All right, mate. What do you got? A fifth job now?
Huh?
What are you working 5 jobs now?
I'm pretty damn close.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Tom Block's going to join us, FSU sideline reporter. Hey, the Noles are 1-0, baby. They put it on Duquesne. Yeah, they did. But you know what? It was a great performance. It was a nice atmosphere, a little rainy, but thank God I was in the Champions Club. But we'll talk to Tom Block next. Stay with us. Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to Heroes Mile.
Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the good folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Obviously, it's hurricane season, folks. If you don't have flood insurance, or if you don't have enough insurance, 62% of homeowners do not have full coverage for their home, for everything they have in their home, or the amount necessary. So get an insurance checkup with the great folks at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, 813-877-7799. Give a little insurance checkup, make sure you're covered, and let them shop your insurance around. I know how everybody's homeowner insurance bill has gone up 2-3 times over the last few years. There are some companies out there that are trying to write more coverage and might be able to give you a little bit of a break. So let them shop it around. They could save you a couple $1,000s. You never know. 813-877-7799. It's a free call. So why not do it? Great folks at Italiano Insurance. Been around for 60 plus years. All right, let's head on up to Tallahassee. Talk with my good buddy, Tom Block, FSU radio guy. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Good. How are you doing, JP?
I'm well. I went to an FSU game against an FCS opponent, and we pounded them. It's something we haven't done in a long time. So I know it's just Duquesne, but that's progress to me. 47-7, and having 3 running backs go over 100 yards. It was a domination. That's what FSU should do. Good teams should do, and they did it. So I'm very, very pleased. What did it look like from your vantage point?
No, I agree. Unfortunately, Duquesne's not available the rest of the season, so it was only one time, right? But no, I agree with your premise, JP. I mean, it's a win over Duquesne. You can't get too excited. But then if you look back, I mean, nothing's been easy for Florida State the last several years. So making something look easy, you take that as a win and you turn the page and move on to the next one, which obviously is a pretty big one.
Yes, which I will be at as well. What was the most impressive thing for you? For me, it was just the sheer size of the offensive line and the fact that they dominated. You know, that's a sign of being able to play with the big boys. You got to be good up front on both sides of the ball, and that shows me that you dominated, and that's what should happen. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And that's from the very first day of practice. It was noticeable when you went out there that all of a sudden there's a lot more bodies with the OL and there are a lot more bigger bodies. And then you watch them play and they're better skilled than what FSU's had in recent years. So is it the best line in America? No, not close. But is it much better than what FSU's had the last 4 or 5 years? Yes. Unfortunately, the depth is being tested already on that with some guys who are down. But I do agree it's a much better group. And think of it this way, and I know it was Duquesne, but FSU's top 2 centers weren't available in that game. One's out for the year. The other we'll see when he comes back, and Maurice Smith. But then FSU played 4 centers in that game on Saturday night. So, in effect, they played their 6th-string center in the 4th quarter of that game. So, I mean, that's depth that FSU hasn't had in a long time. Yeah,
that's good stuff. And the 3 running backs, Toafili from Largo here, Trayshawn Ward, Tampa Bay Tech, and Trey Benson, the transfer, all go over 100 yards for the first time in FSU history. And, you know, I saw a lot of guys breaking tackles. I saw determined running, and it seems like these 3 guys are really, really good, and they're competing to get carries, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I think when Jashawn Corbin left to go pro last year, might have looked at the running back group and said, well, maybe they'll step back a little or maybe they'll be status quo. But I think the unknown was when they got Trey Benson. How far back from injury was he? And obviously he's showing no ill effect from his injuries, you know. And Trayshawn Ward, he runs like a guy with a chip on his shoulder. Yeah. As you know, he's a former walk-on. He runs like that. And Toafili, he's put some weight on. He realized that, you know, he's got a unique skill set. He's a little different. Everybody brings something different to the table, but I thought Toafili ran really well too. So it's a good mix there. And I think that's what we're going to continue to see. Norvell is not going to be 22 carries for one guy, and I don't even think he's going to settle in on 2. I think you're going to see those 3 guys, as long as they're healthy, splitting carries.
Yeah, kind of what he did at Memphis with some pretty good backs there as well. Tom Block joining us here, FSU Radio. Johnny Wilson caught a deep ball, which is, you know, Jordan, he throws such a beautiful deep ball. I thought Jordan played really, really well, played within the system, and but I know Johnny got hurt a little bit. Is that serious? Will he be able to go next week against LSU?
This is purely my speculation based on what I saw on the sideline. I think he'll be all right to go, but I'm sure that they won't tip that hand one way or the other this week, you know. But it looked to me like had it not been a wet night and had it been a game when they needed him back in there, he would have gone back in. But yeah, he brings a different dimension. I mean, he just had the one catch. But at 6'7", and he's had a really good fall. If he can be somebody that the other team has to game plan against, you know, if the safeties are having to pay attention to him, that opens up the field for a lot of other guys. So I mean, even it's not that he has to have 12 catches a game, but if he gets 2 to 4 catches a game and the other team is paying attention, all of a sudden there's more openings for the tight end or dig routes for other receivers. So I think he's really key, and hopefully he is able to go against LSU.
Tom, what were your thoughts on Jordan and the way he played? And you've seen him all fall camp. He looks fantastic to me. He's obviously got a lot of experience I think he can have a huge year given the fact that he won't be running for his life on every play, and he's got weapons too. What are your thoughts on him in the game and then what we expect this year?
Yeah, no, I agree with that sentiment. I thought he really commanded the offense well. I mean, that was one thing to me that was noticeable for as many guys as they played. And really, I'll just, even for Jordan Travis, who played, there were 5 possessions in the first half and then the opening drive in the third quarter. So they scored on all 6 of those possessions. Wow. FSU had 5 or 6 penalties in the game, but it was a couple holding calls. It was a late hit, a pass interference. What we didn't have was offsides and false starts and illegal, all that kind of stuff, which for a first game with that many guys, I thought that was good. And he did a good job of just getting in rhythm, going tempo when he needed to. And he threw the ball with conviction too, when he threw it. I mean, some of those dig routes, it wasn't like he was thinking and kind of hemming and hawing. He said, there's my guy. And he was throwing strikes. So I thought he looked really good. And long-term, the thing we don't know about Jordan, he's had this knock. He's a great runner, not as great a passer, right? Well, we haven't seen Jordan Travis play with any semblance of time in the pocket because the offensive line has not been very good, and he's not had grade A wide receivers.
Right.
And these aren't, this isn't the A list, but it's at least a B list now. So if you add those two in, I think there's just an opportunity for this offense to be much more balanced and much closer to what Mike Norvell wants to run, given the personnel they brought in.
Tom Block joining us here, FSU radio sideline guy. Got all wet on Saturday night, like a lot of fans, but they were there. A pretty good crowd. I thought the students really showed up. I know they sold out all their tickets, and then that looked pretty full over there. There seems to be a little bit of renewed interest, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I was impressed too. After a 90-minute weather delay, that people hung out. They obviously were excited for football, so it was good. And JP, I mean, you've got some FSU roots from way back. I won't say how long. Your listeners know, right? But when you consider the last 5 or 6 years, it's hard to fathom. But FSU's season has more or less been in the tank by mid-September for a lot of years in a row. So that's why when you look at these next 2 weeks, LSU and Louisville, to me, if you win one of those and you're sitting at 2-1, I know that's not setting the world on fire, but from where they've been, if there's actually a modicum of excitement about the program starting to move in the right direction, that would be a really good thing.
No, absolutely. And before we, a couple questions on LSU, your thoughts on the defense. It's hard to get a read on with a team like Duquesne, but I just thought again, they looked like they were in the right spots at the right time defensively, especially in the secondary. When their throws were made, guys were there. It just seemed like they were so much better coached. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. And, really that started last year when they moved Jamie Robinson. He was really the nickel corner. And like game 5, they moved him back to the safety position. And it was when Kevin Knowles had come along and was good enough to play that nickel corner. And ever since then, I feel like we've not seen coverage bust. I mean, it doesn't mean the other team doesn't get a guy open now and then, but it's not guys running free because there's poor communication. So I think, if I'm LSU, I'm looking at it. And right now, Amarian Cooper, who's the top corner, didn't play this last week. Now, hopefully he plays for FSU, which would, give him better depth there. But if he doesn't play, I think LSU is going to have an edge with their receivers against the corners. But overall, more back to your original point about the defense, Tatum Bethune is better than they've had at the linebacker position in some time. You can see he's instinctive. And I think the defensive line is going to be pretty good too. Jared Verse got a sack. The ends are not going to put up the numbers that last year's ends put up, but I think that defensive line has enough bodies up there and enough good bodies that they're not going to get pushed around and dominated over the course of the year.
Tom Block joining us from Tallahassee. FSU beats Duquesne. Now it's a Sunday night game, Sunday night football in front of the nation against LSU. This is a huge game on so many levels for the brand, the FSU brand. If they can win a game like this with all this national attention, I just think it's huge for recruiting. It's huge, it's huge for everything. What are the chances that FSU can go in there and compete and win this game? I think I feel a little too overconfident. So maybe you might want to talk me off the ledge here a little bit. I really think with the newness of LSU, Brian Kelly in his first year, they're going to be breaking in a new quarterback. They might play 2 quarterbacks. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think FSU's got a good chance to win this game. LSU is favored by 3 points or so. And I guess on the one hand, this is a neutral site game, right? On the other hand, we've all been to New Orleans, and even though the tickets were allocated fairly equally, we know that, everybody in the box is going to be purple and gold. So it's going to be more akin to an LSU home game, probably a 60-40 split if I had to say.
Yeah.
But no, I think FSU, to your point, if you look at it and just say, well, Brian Kelly's in game 1 and Mike Norvell's in year 3, I think that's why it's so important from the FSU standpoint. If you get to 2-0, last year you started 0-4. If you get to 2-0, how does the recruiting start to swing the other way in favor of FSU? How does the confidence change? How does the excitement around the program change? And that's understanding that this LSU team, I mean, they have a new coach for a reason. They underachieved last year, so they're not necessarily picked to win the West, but we do know they have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
You can rest assured, though, that whatever happens, JP, it will make too much of it. If FSU loses, we'll let the season play out, and maybe LSU ends up being 9-3. If FSU wins and we get all excited, maybe LSU ends up being 4-8, and it wasn't that big a deal. But in the moment, we're going to overreact to it for sure. But I do think you talk about a shot in the arm. This would be it for an FSU program that's not had one in a while. If they could win this game over LSU.
Hey, last question, Tom. I mean, you were there for a lot of the glory days, and you've seen the downturn. And your boots on the ground for me here. Your eyes on the players, the attitude, the culture, everything in there. I'll just say, ask you where, in your heart of hearts, where are we now, right? Is Norvell the guy? Do you sense that the talent level is back up? And you mentioned confidence, and I think that's another huge thing this game will give you. If they can get some of that swag back, it's so important with young teams or college teams. They play with emotion. Get some swag back and say, look, man, we're FSU. We can be a player here in this ACC conference at the very least. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, back when you covered the program, JP, there was so much swag that FSU had already won the game before it kicked off. Most of the time.
True.
I mean, that's the way it was. The other team was already in the fetal position, right?
Yeah.
So from an overall talent standpoint, they're not where they were in the dynasty days. But is this the best collection it's certainly the best talent Norvell has had since he got here. And from a culture and all for one team kind of attitude, this is the best that he's got that established. I think Norvell is the guy, but he's got to get a couple breaks. You look at last year, and not to bring up Jacksonville State, but there's that game, and I guess I brought it up, so I'll continue. But it was like 28 things had to happen for Jacksonville State to win that game, and they all happened.
Yep.
And then FSU goes and gets a bunch of receivers in the portal, and the best one, the kid from West Virginia, Winston Wright, gets in a car accident. He wasn't driving, and who knows when he's going to play this year. But he was a guy who had 60 catches or something last year at West Virginia. And Norvell comes in, and here's COVID, so he just hasn't gotten a break. So it feels like at some point that'll balance out. But if he is not the guy, JP, it's not going to be because he doesn't have a plan or he's not organized or doesn't know football. I mean, the guy's buttoned up. He doesn't waste a minute. He's intense, but in a good way with the players, in that he's a players coach and they respect him and like him. At some point, if you're finished with this year and the record is 6-6 again, it's going to be tough. But if you get to 8 wins or so, 7-8 wins, get back to a bowl, then I think you can start to see an improvement in recruiting. And it's a long play. We'd all like to see 8 5-stars commit to FSU right now, but that's just not where we are. So it's a longer play, but I do like them a lot. I do.
All right, Tommy, great stuff, my friend. Anything you could tell us about things going on for fans in New Orleans? Any official FSU parties or anything like that?
There is, and I should know where it is. I think the Alumni Association party on Saturday night is sold out. But JP, I'm just going to suggest that you probably have been to New Orleans a time or two in your day.
It's been a while.
And you probably could point people the right direction or the wrong direction.
Yes,
if I know you.
Yeah. Depending on your perspective. Absolutely. All right, my friend. Well, I hope to catch up with you while I'm in New Orleans there, and we'll hope good things happen for FSU. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Talk soon.
Hey, and I'll relay just a quick story here before we hit the break. One of the great things I love about going up to the games is I get to, see a bunch of my old friends, people within the department, get the kind of really good information. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who happens to be pretty good, has become pretty good personal friends with Norvell. And they spent some time together down in the Keys. And he was like, this dude is the most organized guy I've ever met in my life, like detail oriented, like Tom was talking about. He said he pulls out this sheet, and even like when he's taking some downtime, like he's got a sheet like down to every 5 minutes, like call this guy, text this guy, call him, call his mom. She had surgery yesterday. I mean, it's like ridiculous. I mean, people laugh at how like every minute of his day is like scheduled. And I mean, he has got a plan and he's working that plan. And when they talk about Norvell being buttoned up, there are no details. I mean, zero details that this guy leaves uncovered. And, for what that's worth. Does that win you football games? I mean, eventually it does. I mean, details win football games. Details are the reason good teams become championship teams. But I mean, they've got to get to a whole nother level. But again, it's not going to be for a lack of his organizational and knowing football skills.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few things before we get to our break here about FSU. This is probably the first time that I've watched a game, maybe since Jimbo left, and I can confidently say I have nothing bad to say.
Yeah.
I have nothing bad. They went out against a team that you should dominate.
Didn't see any red backpacks on the sideline.
No red backpacks. No, none
no
of those.
Dancing.
No dancing.
No.
Well, good dancing.
Good dancing.
Just the
appropriate
overall,
dancing.
It came through.
Appropriate
Let me
emotion.
tell you this. Watching the game, it came through the screen, honestly.
Yeah.
That the energy was where it needed to be. The attitude was where it needed to be before the game. These guys were excited to go out there and kick ass. That's what it came off of. They weren't scared to go out there. No, they were excited to get out there and go kick ass against an opponent you should. And they did just that. And the cool thing about Mike Norvell, year 3, and he started this late last year, they have an identity now.
Yeah.
They finally have an identity. They ran for over 400 yards on Saturday.
Yeah.
They weren't running for 400 yards last year at the end of the year, but they had that identity of going with the 2-3 back system and just running it down your throat. I mean, the offensive line, for its struggles, they've been able to run block. And we saw they were able to pass block pretty well too that night. And they just look so much bigger. And Micah Pittman, I think he might be the most explosive guy they've had on the perimeter in a long time. He can move. He's shifty. I mean, I don't want to get so hyped up again because it's Duquesne.
Right.
But again, this didn't happen against Samford 4 years ago.
No.
This didn't happen against Jacksonville State. No. It didn't happen against UMass where they just blew them out of the water.
No. This game was never in doubt. And the way they ran, they just dominated them from a size and physicality standpoint. That's what you're supposed to do to other teams like that and beat them into some. That's what the Alabamas do. That's what the Georgias do. And that's what you're supposed to do. And people are like, well, it's Duquesne. Oh, yeah. Well, we lost to Jacksonville State last year. Yeah, we lost the game. And like Tom said, it was fluky, but still you can't allow for flukes. And they did not allow for flukes. No. They just said, we're going to whoop your ass. And did it. And that's what you should do. But again, that's progress.
That's progress, in my opinion. So I'm very optimistic this weekend. And again, the transfer portal, I just mentioned some of the names offensively, defensively, at every layer of the defense. Jared Verse down in there, who was fantastic the other night. Tatum Bethune in the middle, which Tom Block mentioned. I covered him at UCF.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's a player.
He's a player.
He's the best linebacker this team has had since the Jimbo years.
Yep.
And then Jamie Robinson looks like an NFL guy at corner, too. Yep. He looks like a difference maker.
That's his spot.
They have landed 3 difference makers at every level of the defense. This is the most talented team of Norvell era, no doubt about it. And again, I don't have anything negative to say.
And I'm not saying they're going out to beat LSU next week. They still, they're going
to be in the
until
game.
they prove it to me. From a physicality standpoint. It's one thing to go, push around Duquesne. Now you got to go, you're going against NFL players. Yeah. These are NFL players, and it's not the LSU team of 2 years ago, clearly, but these are NFL players and it's a different level of physicality. Now you've got to go out, execute them. You've got to have special running backs and you got to out talent them and you got to, keep the mistakes to a minute, all those cliches. So that's going to be a test. So I'm not, if FSU loses next week, you were all hyped up. Did they get their ass kicked by LSU? That can happen. That could happen. And then we'll say, all right, well, we're not where we thought we were. So, but that was different. It was different. And one other quick note on FSU, because I talked to so many people this week. Their NIL situation is growing, but it's not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I have concerns about that. And I met the guy that's leading it. We're going to get him on the show. So FSU has a ways to go because they lost a lot of very important alumni during the downturn for a lot of different reasons. And it was, a lot of it has to do with the administration. The administration just has failed on so many levels over the last 5 to 8 years. And I think they've got that fixed now. But they've got a lot of repairing to do with alumni that just were not treated the way other teams treat their alumni. I'll just put it that way. And some of those relationships may be irreparable. They may not. Those boosters may never come back. And in the game of the NIL right now, if you don't have the support of all your big money boosters, you're screwed. You're screwed. It's the way it is. You'll never get the best top talent if you don't get in the competition. So we'll see how that works out. Right now, that looks like it's certainly not where it needs to be right now, but we'll see if they can fix it.
Yeah, but in general, though, just wrapping it up, it was so great to turn on college football.
Yeah,
on
baby.
Saturday. Did you catch any of the?
Dude, I went to a college football game, bro. Even though we were sitting under a tent. My good friends Greg and Shelly Nelson, we all had to come because it started raining pretty good during the tailgate. And I saw a bunch of Dave Roberts and William Floyd and a bunch of the old guard at another tailgate party. And it was just so great to see the guys. And it was, and to be in a college atmosphere and see the freaking spear go down and hear the marching Chiefs, man.
It's great. I mean, I watched the entire Nebraska Northwestern game, and that's something I would never do, but I did.
Free beer.
Did you buy free beer? Yeah. Free beer in Ireland, and
they had free beer. As I understand it, the internet went down.
So the internet went down,
so they couldn't charge people with credit cards, and they don't do cash anymore. So instead of just saying we're not selling it, they're like, all right, we'll give it to you. Come back and pay us later. But they knew that if they cut it off, there'd be a freaking riot.
And then they ran out of beer.
I love it.
And then in the stands, did you see the stands?
You better not turn off the tops. Will it be a riot here? Oh my God, they'll be over the top. We'll all be dead.
Did you see the stands too? They started a cup tower from the third level down to like almost the first level. They were going for the world record for a cup tower.
If you've not been to Ireland and enjoyed the people in the pubs, you don't know what you're missing.
And we got to see the downfall of Scott Frost in front of our eyes too. What a horrendous.
What is wrong with that guy?
Did you see what he did?
Onside kick.
Yeah, he goes up by 11. Good time for an onside kick.
What are you doing?
Totally changed the game right there. They didn't do anything after that. They look like completely different. Ever since, I'm telling you, stop leaving UCF, people.
Stop leaving. Is that it?
The grass is not greener.
Maybe you got rid of them at the right time.
What you get. Maybe that's true too.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to get back here a little bit more from Tom Brady. We didn't play all that. And we'll get a couple other stories around the NFL as we get ready for regular season games there as well. A lot of quarterback controversies. You're listening to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the folks at American Mortgage Services. Scott Fitzgerald. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com. They got a new loan program that could get you lower than the regular rates, get you something in the threes, no money down. It's a crazy program, but only they have it. So scott@amstampa.com. The time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or italianoinsurance.com.
Hi, my name is Mike Warner, a Navy vet. I've had problems with addictions throughout the many decades. Something saved my life, and that is the Heroes Mile program.
Hi, I'm Bill Lennox, retired Lieutenant General, United States Army. If you have any challenges in alcohol, drug, if you have PTSD, MST, think about Heroes Mile.
Heroes Mile, a recovery center for veterans by veterans. Call 1-888-VET-NOW2 to learn more or visit heroesmile.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Thank you so much for listening. And American Mortgage Services, Scott Fitzgerald, Scott the mortgage guy. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com. They've got this new program. It's a government-funded program. They're trying to spur some more investment into some certain neighborhoods. So you only know if you can qualify by the address. So if you've got a contract or some places that you're looking, email him and he'll tell you if they qualify. And literally no money down up to $640,000. You can get lower rates than the going rates because they're trying to spur this investment. A lot of other great parts of this program. And it all depends on where you're looking and what you're buying. So I think they're the only Tampa Bay company that is doing this program. So just email him, find out more. If you're looking at a refi, your neighborhood may already qualify. If you're looking at buying something new, find out if the address is in the program. That's simple. Scott@amstampa.com, Scott@amstampa.com. All right, you wanted to hit the Tyler Glasnow stuff too. We talked about it. We did not play the sound as Tyler did a little interview here to talk about this extension. Or is this the other soundbite you were going to play?
Yeah, this is the one he did talking about the extension. We have two parts here, so we'll play the first one here. This is just in general talking about how cool it was to sign this extension.
I think just ever since I got here from day one, it was always somewhere I knew I wanted to be. I know it's like a very comfortable atmosphere. I think from top down, not only the coaches, players, but like staff and I guess just mentality throughout the organization. Like clearly it's winning is very important, but it's not only about like putting the best team forward. I think it's very much like it's just like a really awesome work environment. Guys come over from other organizations and everyone's first thing is like, is this real? Is this how it is always? And I think I've been here so long. It's like, yeah, what do you mean? But I think it's just a special place. And I knew that early on, and it's just somewhere I've always wanted to be. So we've all together collectively been trying to do this for a while. And I'm just extremely happy that we finally got to put something on paper, and I'm excited to be here for a long time.
Yeah, great. I wanted to hear that because, again, there's this stigma in this market that nobody wants to play here, right? And everybody's looking for the first plane ticket out of here. And let's be real, because we have so much history to go on. Yeah. Anytime a player gets a chance to leave, for the most part, they've been out or we've traded them, right?
We trade them.
We trade them, or
I think guys love playing here. Well,
I
pitchers
guess I
especially.
I'm scarred by the Carl Crawford thing 12 years ago.
Yeah,
I go to that example really. But no, just to hear him say that about the culture that the Rays have built up, that he really wanted to stay here. And he's been more open, I'd argue, than any player on this team about, what it's like to play here and always have to know that you could get traded at any time. But he really wants to be here. I think he's always emphasized that. And I think that's just a testament to the culture the Rays have really created under Kevin Cash. The guys want to be in here when they get here, at least.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard stories, and Jason Romano has told us that position players just don't want to play here because of, you're not going to get paid and the wear and tear on your body. I think for pitchers, it's a whole different thing. It's just a tough place to hit. And pitchers have great success here within the organization with the analytics and the way they use their pitchers. They do get hurt, but they also have great success where they haven't had other success before. We got some more from Tyler.
Yeah,
I think including with like Raz and Boz and all those guys, and our bullpen's obviously like very elite. And I think that was always at the front of my mind. It was like, this is such an awesome opportunity and a place I really want to be. And it's just always been kind of like, I don't want to leave yet. Like I'm not ready to go. And I think too, if I were to go, I think I would have some like PTSD and like maybe root for him if I was playing against him or something. So it didn't feel like it was time yet for me. So it's nice knowing I'm here. Like you said, I think the staff and like what we have as far as depth in the minor leagues and the guys like Wander signing here long-term, I just think it feels very solidified as a team, and we always have. And I just think it's going to keep growing and growing.
Boy, he is cheerleading.
That's what I'm saying. He is. I mean,
I don't know if I've ever heard a guy talk about the organization.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to play those bites, because you never hear anybody really say that about the Rays.
No.
And he's like really I mean, you still hear all these sound bites.
I would ask him like specifically, what do they do that you like so much? Is it the pregame buffet? Is it parking? Is it because he's been outspoken about the stadium? He doesn't like the stadium. He wants a new stadium.
Yeah,
he needs to be in Tampa.
Yeah, but I think more than anything, I mean, the one thing you can't accuse the Rays of, they look like they're genuinely having fun.
Oh, always.
And they've put together this really fun group of guys that want to be here, and I've always said a lot of them feel like almost misfits or guys that are misunderstood in baseball, and they all collectively feel like they are that, and they've come together as just one thing. I mean, if that kind of makes sense.
No, absolutely.
I look at
I think probably other places it's more of a business.
Yeah.
And here it seems like there's more of a purpose to it in terms of like we're going to win despite our low payroll and our crappy stadium.
I think they've all taken that on.
Yeah, they're always the underdog. They're always the underdog.
I mean, look at this guy, for example. He was thrown in as a piece for the Chris Archer trade. The Pirates said, no, we don't want you. We want Chris Archer. Right? Which is a crazy statement to say now. But he was just a piece thrown in there. He wasn't even the main, they had. Yeah. He wasn't even the main piece in that trade. I mean,
crazy. But look, what the Rays did in signing him, 2 years, $30 million. First of all, it gets him to pitch this year, which I think is great because now, things are trending in their direction. They're playing better. The offense is coming back. The pitching is going to be fantastic. And now, instead of going into the postseason with 3 rookies as your starters, like we did last year, we could conceivably start Shane McClanahan, Tyler Glasnow, and Rasmussen and Kluber and Spring. I mean, with a lights out bullpen. I mean, this is really good stuff. If they could somehow get Belau going, Paredes is not going to cover off the ball. Randy Arozarena just continues to rake. Manuel Margot is back with 4 hits the other day.
Barrel Ramirez.
I mean, this is starting to get fun. And, God forbid if Wander Franco can come back and actually hit and play well.
Hell, our new closer.
Who?
Bethencourt.
Oh,
he closed again yesterday. He's 2 for 2 with a 0 ERA. And Kevin Cash just said yesterday, we are going to use him. We are going to use him, was his words.
As what?
He said, we're going to use him.
Well, I mean, in mop up, absolutely.
I
Save your bullpen.
Guys throwing 95.
It's all good. I mean,
Brett Phillips, who?
Yeah. So that's good. All right. Do we have to take another break or no?
We got one more spot to play.
All
one more spot because I came back a little early last one.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to finish the way we started with Tom Brady, since it was such an incredible weekend for him, more from an interview standpoint than what he did on the field. But that was pretty impressive as well. But what does it mean going forward for the Bucs? Stay with us.
Serena Fazan here for the Gold and Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Gold and Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Are you concerned your spouse might be cheating, or want to locate a long-lost relative or love? Or a missing person and the police are not helping? An insurance adjuster who needs proof of injury. Hi, I'm Rachel D'Antonio from Tampa Bay's premier private investigation agency, Emerging Investigation. We have a proven track record of results. Local attorneys and insurance companies hire us to discover insurance fraud and crucial information in criminal cases. We can help in custody matters, and we devote a tremendous state-of-the-art technology and cutting-edge industry surveillance techniques to get you trusted results. Larger corporate agencies can be more expensive and do not offer the personal level of customer service and interaction that we pride ourselves on. We are a family-owned business. Our professional experience team includes my son, lead investigator Zach D'Antonio, a former collegiate athlete, and my daughter Emily, who leads our in-house investigations team. Don't take matters into your own hands by trying to install snooping programs on phones or GPS trackers. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. We have proven results and tremendous testimonials from our satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation and we can discuss how we can help. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. Just go to our website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's emerginginv.com. We're Emerging Investigations. We get results in life's biggest matters.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Turn my camera back on here. Brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. If you're looking to lose weight, testosterone replacement therapy, or just get your immune system boosted, great place to start. Looking for a new primary care. They are taking new patients at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. So give Chris Lugo and their medical team a call over there. Just go to the website, bammc.com, and they will get you right. All right, a couple things we want to get to before we're out of here. First of all, your quarterback rankings and came out. Who did this ranking, by the way? So this is a ranking of all the core starting quarterbacks at the main programs in the state of Florida, D1 programs.
Yeah, it was Tyler Van Dyke over at Miami 1.
Okay.
2 was
He's a pro prospect.
Mr. Bohannon here at USF.
How about that?
Gary
Bohannon, 2.
Yeah, 3 was Anthony Richardson. 4 was Jordan Travis. 5 was Nkosi Perry, who, if you recall, was at Miami, now at FAU.
Perry, yeah.
And 6 was Mr. John Rice Plumlee for UCF.
Oh, my God.
7 was somebody at one of the other Florida schools. Yeah.
How about that? You see how people going crazy. Now you got something to talk about on your new podcast. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll pimp that for a second here. If you're familiar with Believe Podcast Network, it's spelled BLEAV. It's the #1 podcasting network out there. A lot of your former NFL, college football players are on there with their podcast, and there's a podcast for so many other different NFL teams, colleges, the whole 9 yards. It's all in one under one umbrella, Believe.com. It's called Charge On, a UCF football podcast, and we're going to be recording 2 episodes every single week starting tomorrow. We'll have our first episode going on, which is going to be a preview to Thursday night's first game against South Carolina State, which we're hoping for a 60-0 victory in that one.
There you go.
And then we're going live immediately right after on Thursday night, and we'll have that published up on Friday morning, a recap. So it's going to be good, and I'll keep talking about that throughout the season. And because I live in Tampa, they're saying that I'm going to be a villain on this show because I always
you're going to wear the black hat, all
because
right.
I always talk up how encouraging USF is going to be this year.
So you're just not going to be the sycophant podcast host that sees no wrong in anything USF does.
No,
good for you.
I will not.
You're going to keep it real.
I'm going to keep it real.
Okay.
No,
unlike you do with the Bucks when we started out this
enough.
Today.
Enough.
No, Tom isn't looking anywhere else. It was all about Tampa Bay. No, we love Tom. All right. So we started the show with talking about the whole Brady situation, and I guess we're not going to have time to play anymore. He basically talked about the game, which I thought he looked exactly the way we thought he was going to look, the way he looked in practice. His arm is, and as Rondé said the other day, his arm, they've measured the RPMs and the velocity and everything. He does it every year, and it's as strong as it's ever been. And you go out there with the eye test, he's as accurate and as good as he's ever been. But that press conference on Saturday, I think it was the start of maybe a cathartic time for Tom, where he's probably going to talk more, and maybe he will talk more and more about what's going on in his personal life. But clearly there is some serious stuff going on in his personal life. Everybody, as I said at the beginning of the show, listened to Dan Patrick today and a lot of national pundits over the last 24 to 48 hours since Tom came out and talked about it. A lot of them are saying the same things. They're hearing the same reports that I've heard. Nobody wants to say it out loud. Nobody wants to say the words, the D word or anything else. But leave that up to Tom. So everybody's being very cryptic about it, but it's clear that there is something very serious going on in his family life that he's dealing with. And he said it the other night. He's dealing with a lot of shit at 45 years old. And it's going to test him mentally in terms of compartmentalizing everything. And it's going to be tough for Tom. But if anybody can do it, it's Tom Brady. It's going to be Tom Brady. And we, like Devin White said, we're praying for him and a great outcome for him and his family, and hope everything turns out well. But a lot of us have gone through these things, and it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all. And it's very hard to concentrate on your work. It's very hard to do anything when, especially, we've heard Tom talk about how important family is to him. and how important how great his parents were and what they gave him, and that at times he's tormented. It's a word that he's used about not being able to be the father and the mom that he had, because he's so freaking absolutely obsessed with being prepared for a football game, and preparing himself in every way, and having to put football first. And it's something that he's going to be dealing with. But from what I saw the other night, I think the more he's honest with everybody and puts it out there, I think the more support he's going to get. And that's great. That's fantastic. I think he could be in a much better spot. But it could also go south too if things get really, really ugly, and he can't repair some of these things. So we wish him the best. And I think it's going to be a very interesting Buccaneer season. We will see you tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. See you then. Thanks.